Alright, I am going to do a quick clone of this really interesting little Agaricus bisporus white button mushroom I got at the store. I like how it's kind of a double mushroom that grew into one single unit. So I'm gonna take a couple samples from this internally and put it on some agar, and hopefully we can clone this and propagate it onto substrate and grow other mushrooms from this. And I'm hoping that if I do that from this mushroom, I'll get a genome that likes to do these double fruiting bodies that grow together like this, because I've always thought this was a cool mutation for mushrooms to have. So I'll be taking some samples from this part of the mushroom and this part of the mushroom. My setup is pretty simple. All I have is a stainless steel medical tray right here. I use this because you can easily keep this sanitized and stuff like this. I have hand sanitizer. Whenever I do this, I don't really tend to wear gloves because, you know, like, you sanitize your hands because we're all used to doing that from the pandemic anyway now. And it doesn't matter if you have gloves on or not. Like, I think gloves tend to give people a false sense of security. So I think that you're more aware of your doings whenever you're not wearing gloves. You're a little more deliberate with your actions and stuff of that matter. So I'm not gonna wear gloves or anything like that because I don't feel like I need them for this. I've done this before with this setup and I've had some pretty good success. So let me pan here a little bit. Right back there, right here, this is a cheap HEPA filter I got from Target, and this I use in place of a laminar flow hood. It blows, you know, air through a HEPA filter that filters out like particles down to like 0.3 microns or something like that. So this is really good for providing a nice steady flow of sterile air that you can work in front of, or I guess work in, and that'll keep a lot of contaminants from getting into your petri dishes here. So that works pretty well, and it's a cheap solution to a laminar flow hood. But here I have some agar plates. Half of them are just regular agar plates with light malt extract and some yeast extract for nutrients. The top three are clear, and the bottom three have powderized activated carbon in them, and that's just for better contrast for mycelium. Over here on my messy workbench, I have my Bunsen burner that I'm going to turn on, and I'm going to use this to flame sterilize. I don't have the blades on it yet, but I'm going to use that to flame sterilize each of the scalpel blades in between samples. That way, if you know, every time I take a sample, I'm working with a sterile knife. That way I don't have to use alcohol and stuff like that, which is kind of hit or miss sometimes. And then after I get these petri dishes inoculated with some clone sample, you know, some mushroom sample, I'm going to put them into my new incubator, which works fantastic, and they're going to be in there for about a week, and we'll see how they take off. So I'm going to set up, get everything ready, and then I'm going to start cloning these guys right here. Alright, so to begin, I'm going to start by putting a small scalpel blade onto my scalpel handle. I have my Bunsen burner lit off to the right here. I have to kind of keep that out of the way so I don't burn my camera. Okay, so I have a sterile blade on here, but I still like to flame sterilize no matter, like, even though that's a sterilized blade via gamma radiation, and it tends to work pretty well. I still like to flame sterilize between each inoculation, so it just increases your chances of having successful propagation. Alright, so I have that setting down there. I'm going to sanitize my hands again with sanitizer. Luckily, I have a lot of that left over, so that's good. So now it's time to do that. Wash once again since I touched that, and now start putting some samples onto petri dishes. Hold my one petri dish down there. And if it seems like I'm having a weird time like breathing or something, it's because I am wearing a mask while I do this. Even though I have this laminar flow hood, it's just good practice to keep a mask on. And it's also something that we're used to doing a lot of now. But whenever you clone a mushroom, you don't want to cut. You always want to get something from the middle, because your chances of contamination are lowest there. So break it, don't cut it, and that way you're not pushing contaminants down into the middle of the mushroom itself. And then you take just a small little chunk of the mushroom flesh and place it on the agar. Sterilize your scalpel until it's glowing hot to ensure that anything that might be present on it is dead. That's good. Give it a couple seconds to cool. That should be good. And then cut a little piece off here. And then do the same for the other compartments. I like these 3-compartment petri dishes the most, because they, like, if you do get a contamination in one of the compartments, the partition seems to kind of isolate the contamination, so you have a decent chance of like maybe recovering your other samples and putting them onto more grow medium. Like, I don't know. Plus they just look kind of cool and more sciencey, I suppose, is another reason why I like them. Alright, flame sterilized again. Now I'm probably not going to fill all those petri dishes up. I might do maybe 2 of the clear and 2 of the black agar, but that's fine. Alright, I'm going to take a piece right here from the stem, because this is kind of pithy and it might grow easier. So I'll put it right down here on agar if it wants to cooperate. It did not want to cooperate, that's fine. And whenever it does that, I like to not have this lid open even in a flow, like a HEPA sterilized air filter flow. I try not to keep the lids open more than like 5 seconds. I mean, less than a second would be ideal, but whenever you're doing this, it's, you know, sometimes you don't really have much of a choice to keep it open a little bit longer. But while I'm waiting for this to cool, you can see how this is 2 mushroom stems. So this is 2 little fruiting bodies that grew into one. And I'm going to take some sample from here, which I probably can now. Yeah, my blade's cool enough now. I try taking another sample from here. Let me hold it down closer to the airflow. Like this. Now this is your best chance of getting sterile culture. That, and then place it. There we go, that worked. I'm going to set that up here, out of the way. Bring another one down. I'm not going to flame sterilize yet. I'm actually going to sanitize my hands again. Okay, good. Now I'm going to flame sterilize my scalpel. And like I said, I do this between every inoculation. So you take a sample, you put it on the agar, you sterilize. You take a sample, you put it on the agar, you sterilize. It's just a pattern and kind of a routine and a, you know, like a rhythm that you kind of get into. And it might seem like kind of a pain in the butt at first, but you know, you do it enough, it just kind of, you know, it becomes pretty second nature to you. It goes pretty quick. But I think I'm going to use this one to take some sample right here from the smaller of the 2 fruits. Like that. Put that there, just drop it on the surface, quickly cover it, flame sterilize. Yeah, I kind of want to, I'm going to rip this small stem down the middle. As you can see, this didn't rip whenever I tore it in half. And I don't want to take any samples from here, I want to take it from the middle of this stem. So that's good as far as flame sterilization goes. There, rip the stem, count to 10. 3, And my petri dish just fell down. Ah, crap. Hold on. That's fine. I have a lot more. Let me take a little sample right here. So definitely put a rubber mat on top of that HEPA filter so that things don't slide around. Gotcha. Good to know, good to know, good to know. Alright. Yeah, this is actually a pretty straightforward procedure, and it's pretty neat that you can grow mushrooms from a mushroom. I just think that's pretty cool. That's always been fascinating to me. But I have a lot of weird interests. So what's cool to me is probably kind of strange to other people. But yeah, that's what makes us all interesting. We're all so different. Alright, I'm not going to flame sterilize that yet. Let me see. I think this petri dish is fine. Well, may as well use them all now since I screwed everything up. Alright, so use black. Maybe I'll just do 2 black ones and I'll use the other ones that are left over. Maybe I'll just do like a bacteria stain or something. Well, a bacteria smear. What the heck? I'll just do that. Alright, flame sterilized. Now I'm going to take these from that. I'm going to sanitize my hands with alcohol, well, with hand sanitizer. And while I'm at it, I'll do the handle for this. I know the blade is good. And since that was in open air and not in front of the flow hood, I'm going to sterilize with flame one more time. Okay. Now wait a couple seconds for this to cool down. That should be good. And then take a sample from in the stem here. 1. Just have 5 more to go. And I'm just going to stop talking and I'll speed this part up. I think you get the gist. Oh wait, this has a contamination. I just saw that in the agar. So I'm going to put this off to the side. I'm going to use this one. I usually don't do that, do like one right after the other, but that's fine. Maybe I'll just use all of these, I don't care. Whatever. Hands. Okay. So now that's good. Now the only thing left to do is to label these. I will probably put some parafilm around them to keep moisture in, but let oxygen exchange still happen, and then just incubate them for about a week and see how they look. So that's all you do. Let it grow, and I'll give you an update on how it looks here in a little bit, maybe about a week or so. All right, thanks for watching.